New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani making the case for his socialist movement as Democrats battle for the soul of their party, searching for a message they can sell to voters ahead of the midterms.
I think a Democratic socialist can get elected anywhere across this country for any position. What I think we need to bring is a focus on working people. I think the direction that the party should go in is how best to fight for working people. I think we need to have a platform and a vision that doesn't sound as if it was cooked up by consultants, but instead one that you would say in response to someone who's asking, why can't I afford my rent? Why can't I afford my groceries? Why can't I afford my childcare?
Mamdani's comments come as the Democratic Socialists of America look to build on their momentum in Denver, where 29-year-old Millette Quiros is competing in Tuesday's Democratic primary for Colorado's 1st congressional district.
When I talk to voters about what we're doing and why I'm a Democratic Socialist, I remind them that we have socialism already, right? It's in the roads that we drive on. It's in the schools we send our kids to. It's in the fire stations we call upon. I'm just asking that we extend that security to our healthcare, to our housing, to our nutritional food, to our higher education, so that we're actually meeting the basic needs of everyday working families in this country.
Joining me now, Daily Wire opinion writer Chloe Trapanato. Chloe, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you. So it's pretty clear within both of those comments from Mamdani and Quiros in Colorado, what they're trying to do is normalize socialism and say, we already have it in this country. Let's just take it a little bit further. How should we all feel about that?
Pretty terrified, Carly, but good morning. But yes, this is coming, and it's coming fast, unfortunately. Millette here, what surprises me about her being a Democrat socialist is that she's from Ethiopia. Her family came here when she was a baby. They used the American dream via a visa to get everything they ever could want. I mean, her dad came here with hardly nothing. The family worked hard. They used the community and the different tools here that we offer in this great country. He became a pharmacist. His daughter became a lawyer. She was a lawyer, and now she actually got fired for being a lawyer for being too radical and for protesting on behalf of Palestine and saying heinous things about Israel. And now she's in her 2nd year of her PhD program. So it just kills me to hear these champagne socialists talk about wealth inequality and affordability when this girl's been going to school for the better part of her life, and now she's talking about the lack of affordability in these countries, in our country. Meanwhile, she used the American dream, and now all of her policies are pretty much going to destroy it. She wants to nationalize housing, health care, have a national rent control, abolish ICE, and she wants to institute a trans Bill of Rights, all of the things that would just destroy our country from within.
Yeah, well, I'm glad.
Yo, what is up, my people? Good morning. It's Monday morning for the most amazing country on earth. It is our birthday week. Yeah, it's our birthday. Yeah, it's totally our birthday week. It's 4th of July. It's on Saturday, right? So it's our birthday week, Monday, June 29th, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a great early birthday present for you for America, which is that the Marxists are killing each other, metaphorically. But what happens eventually is that's actually what Marxists end up doing, is they end up just destroying each other. It's the snake that eats its own tail. It's a Frankenstein's monster. It's Mary Shelley. It's the same thing. The tale is old as time. It's biblical, actually. The weapons that you forge will be used against you. He who lives by the sword will die by the sword. Let's kick off the morning right now with like an understanding that we are living through biblical times. We are living through great moments and tectonic plates of spiritual energy moving, and we have to keep fighting. You cannot get depressed. You cannot get demoralized. It's not red versus blue. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's not lib versus con or chud. It's good versus evil. It's brightness, light versus dark. And we have to win. And so that's what we're going to stay focused on this morning. We're going to revel in the fact that our enemy is destroying itself. And that I think that by the end of my life, in the next 50 years, okay? So in the next 50 years, I think that if we play our cards right now, if we lock in right now, don't get demoralized, stiff upper lip, stay strong, deliver for the American people, show that we are actually real Americans and that we have the best interests in mind, lock in with our families, have children, bring forth Christian kingdom here that we are called to do as Christians, and to establish a movement that is for America first and unashamedly, that we'll see the Democrat, but we'll see the extinction of the Democrat Party. I'm an extinctionist. I believe in extinctionism for the Democrat Party. I think that they are on their way to maybe being able to pull 20%. In the next 50 years, you'll see a Democrat Party that can pull about 20% nationwide inside of like sunken like Islamic no-go zones that control failing municipalities. And I think that's the future for the Democrat Party if we do our job. And you're starting to see the seeds right now, the poisoned fruit of what they've done, which is to invent a Frankenstein's monster that turns on its creator, and it's happening at scale across the country. It's more important than like it's fun to point and laugh. Ha ha! We've got to lock in on our side. They've given us a gift here. I'm going to establish exactly what that gift looks like. George Soros given a gift, obviously, to the Democrat Party. The big news this morning: Soros has funneled a staggering $103 million in the midterms. Democrat Party is facing absolute schism, and Scott Pressler and Tina Peters will be joining the program. A banger of a show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Advantage Gold can ensure that you stay golden in your future. There are going to be some rowdy times ahead. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think that there are evil forces at play, and they're losing power, and they're engaging in desperation right now. So it's time to lock in. It's time to be certain about where your investments are and where your future is. I have diversified into precious metals with my family. Your 401k, for instance, kind of automatically gets placed into target date funds, shifts heavily into bonds over time, but those bonds are purchased at very different interest rates than today. The values can fall. It's made out of paper. Anything made out of paper is eventually reduced to the price of paper. That's why I trust Advantage Gold, America's top-rated precious metals company, and because gold has just withheld its value for the last 5,000 years and longer. And that is why you should consider a diversification into gold. Text Benny to 85545. That's Benny to 85545. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. Check your allocation and get control of your future with Advantage Gold. Okay. I want to show you a picture of what this weekend looked like in Chicago. This is a pride parade. So they did a bunch of pride parades in left-wing cities, relatively poorly attended pride parades. But what you can see here is the like someone wearing like a transgender burqa. Never seen one of those. That's very interesting. Okay. The full fusion of the Red Green Alliance, where you see sort of this this bend towards Islamism. You can see stop deportations, abolish ICE. You can see here in this footage that the left is being used, the dying embers of the left is being used to bring as many third worlders here as possible. Of course, not from Christian countries or from European countries, from Muslim countries, to keep them here and then to allow for the energy of Islam to flow through the modern left-wing movement. And they're loving it, right? So the abolish ICE, free Palestine, liberate Palestine movement has completely co-opted the left. And this is what a pride parade looks like right now. This is Chicago. Just a few miles away, probably about 150 miles away, in Michigan. This is what a pride parade looked like. Slightly different pride parade because it's a different stage of the end game for what's about to happen in the country. We're used to pride parades that look like this, and they're insufferable and it's embarrassing. Again, you can see look at you can see the burqa, the transgender burqa. That's really special. Go why don't you travel to Palestine with your transgender burqa and see what happens? Saw something new this week actually, that there was a Palestine transgender flag. That was something that was unveiled. ALX, maybe you can grab that. This is what end stage terminal progressivism looks like, with total and complete worldview incompatibility, just the glomming on of it's kind of like what cancer cell, like what a cancer cell does. Just glomming on to any conceivable power source, anything that could possibly give it power. Total and complete intellectual inconsistency. There's no way that the Pride, Progress, transgender flags go over well in the Muslim world that they are simping for. Look, I mean, there's the Palestine flag. There's the transgender hijab. I can't get over that. Like, the more I watch it, it's like a Rorschach blot test. It's like you see more, like the more you see, the more obscenities you see in all of this. So this is late stage left-wing progressivism. Glom on to, cancerously glom on to any movement that will give us power. This is end stage. This is the end. The black mass march of Muslims who have eradicated the gays and the transgenders, who have banned them from society, or far worse, stoned them, thrown them off roofs. It kind of depends on the way it goes. And are now in unison, because they use these fools in order to get power, marching for the ultimate purpose of Islam, which is conquest. And so Islam, which is a political movement that fuses religion and the state together in order to institute upon society its dictates, Sharia law, and control executive, legislative, the courts, in order to treat Muslims different than non-Muslims. It is a supremacist worldview, obviously. And this is what it's going to look like in the end, unless we do something to stop it. This is what liberals, these people, are ushering in this. They're too stupid to know it. These people right here with their rainbow crosses, church ladies for gay rights. Yeah, God will not be mocked. Look at that lady. Racks herself on the traffic pylon here. These people, there we go. God won't be mocked. There you go. These people are ushering in this. Weak Christians get you this. This is what it will become. This level of weakness, frailty, perversion of the Gospels, really hedonism, gets you this eventually. It is the full arc of history. It is what will happen. These are American streets, by the way. This is not Syria. This is not some Al-Qaeda training camp. These are the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, pledging fealty to Allah, to a completely foreign power, praying to a foreign land like they do every 5 times a day. No freedom of speech, no freedom of assembly, no freedom of religion. Not in this religion. No tolerance. Doing this outside of a Christian church in Christian neighborhoods. Islam means submission. This is the goal. And this is what will happen to your neighborhood. This is what will happen to every American city with too many of these people and too many of these people in charge. And that's what we have. And they will take over. And here's how it works. This is a conservative streamer and YouTuber here in Seattle, and you can see that he gets smashed up with a baseball bat by one of these communists. right? So they use actual communist street soldiers. Here we go. There you go. You can see here. Look at that. So there's a communist with a baseball bat going in and smashing with the baseball. This is from yesterday. A streamer. Dude was just there filming with an American flag shirt on. But that communist with the baseball bat doesn't realize that what happened, that there's no place there's no place for this guy. This guy will go into the camps under this. When they take over, there's no place for pasty white. When these guys take over, there is no room for this guy right here. There's no spot for him in the ultimate movement that they're going to usher in. And so it is critically important for us to analyze and to establish like what's at stake here. The foreign-born population of left-wing leaders that is growing dramatically by the day, they come from lands where this is normal. And this is what they expect will happen in America in their lifetimes. I mean, frankly, it already has. These videos are from this week. And they're doing everything that they can using the communist foot soldiers in order to bring it to pass. Are they ashamed of the foreign-born Marxism that they advocate? Nope. In fact, the point of communists are to smash the establishment left that give birth to it, to destroy it, again, Frankenstein's Mary Shelley monster, and to eat it parasitically from the inside until it's strong enough to take over. And that's precisely what's going on. The Voldemort arc. Last night, ABC News' John Carl. Republicans are trying to make socialists the face of the Democrat Party. Zorhan Mandami.
Democratic Party.
Let them. We don't have to ask ourselves what life looks like if a socialist wins. I won last November, and over the course of these...
Let them. Hey, team, I'm checking in with the audio there. I saw that the screen was muted. Did we hear that? Yeah, okay. Republicans are going to make you, a communist, a foreign-born communist, the face of the Democrat Party.
For the Democratic Party.
Let them. We don't have to ask ourselves what life looks like if a socialist wins.
Yeah, we don't, actually. We're able to see 160 million dead bodies over the last 100 years. We're able to see the socialists in Europe have no air conditioning. No, I mean, totally. We're able to see the concentration camps in China and the mass graves in Ukraine and the mass graves all across Russia. No, we're able to see it. Totally. You're right. We don't have to ask ourselves. But they're going to run on this. Here's Wonder Bread doughboy Chris Murphy. And I describe him as that because he's like a gooner, simp, Democrat, not particularly radical. He's from Connecticut. So he's just like this type of egalitarian lib that you've grown up with from the East Coast, never known a day of struggle in his life, never done any yard work. And just kind of like here for the coffee house vibes, not particularly radical, kind of a little Schumer soldier. And he was asked like, yo, you got a bunch of communists taking over your party. And he's like, I like the big tent.
Nominated and won with candidates like Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill. I want us to be a big tent party. I mean, I've been saying this for years. I think that it's actually a sign of a party that is alive and growing.
This is what growing looks like for him. This is what growing looks like. This is alive and growing for his party. This is what being alive for his party looks like. There you go. That's being alive. This is living for him. There you go. It's alive. It's growing. Exciting. They're going to take on, they're going to take on these communists. They have no choice. There's no more money. All the money's gone. The DNC is tens of millions of dollars in debt. There's no more energy. They can't pack rallies. We went to Hillary Clinton rallies. We went to the Kamala Harris rallies. No one was there. Once they like got the Beyonce rug pull, right? Remember that? Beyonce was going to show up at a Kamala Harris rally. She didn't sing anything. She didn't do anything. She gave some note card speech for about 3 minutes and then left. Everybody walked out. Everyone just streamed out. See ya. I don't care. They have no energy. Nobody shows up to see Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi has no more power. The Clintons have no more power. And Joe Biden, of course, has no more power. Hakeem Jeffries is a joke. Hakeem Jeffries just endorsed a bunch of candidates in New York. They all lost. All of them lost. Zoran Mandami's candidates won. They know where the energy is. They know what comes next. And so they're just embracing it for dear life. It's an evil movement. Zoran Mandami. Abolish prisons, open borders. I mean, the candidates that he endorsed in New York last week said they want to use the American flag as toilet paper. They call for the abolition of all borders, the abolition of ICE, the abolition of law enforcement, the abolition of jails, infinity third world migration to America. And then they parrot phrases like, they start organizations that straight up say America should cease to exist, that there should be that we're infidels and deserve to be conquered militarily by the globalist South. These are exact words. Down with America. This is what they tweet. Mog Bar America. This is what the candidates said. They're going to be seated in Congress. Zoran Mandami endorsed them. And he says, hey, it's not a big deal. These positions are not a big deal. We can just have a conversation about it. This is what's going to happen, man. So they're losing. They're losing. They've lost all their power. And so now the establishment Democrat Party has a choice. You work with the Frankenstein monster to burn the town and burn the city down. Maybe you'll win. Maybe you get power. Or you get destroyed by the monster. Speaking of monstrous, this is the single most monstrous video out of New York on a cringe level that we've ever seen. This is Stephen Colbert and Chuck Schumer dancing together. I'll let you read into that what you will. These are the most lesbian dance moves I've ever seen in my life. And it was the cringiest video out of New York until I watched what Chuck Schumer did yesterday at the Pride Parade in New York. Here's Chuck Schumer explaining why all gay people should love him.
I was the first Senate leader to come out for gay marriage, and 15 years later, I was vindicated. My daughter married a beautiful young lady. Happy Pride, everybody. Thank you. Great to be here.
Great to see you again.
Likewise. Happy Pride, everybody.
We got married yesterday here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My daughter and her wife are married 8 years. And I have 2 beautiful babies from them. Happy Pride, everybody. And you used to serve water. They're not allowing you to serve water.
Real high energy here. Incredible high energy. Look at it. Well, it's empty. Okay. So there's no one. And it's just Chuck Schumer walking down the street being like, I'm so gay. I'm gay. I like the gays. And that's it. And that's what you get. That's what these parades, I guess, are all about, is a bunch of Democrats arguing over who can be the most intersectional cringe. And it doesn't work anymore, actually, because what the Democrat base wants is this. This is what they'll eventually end up with. the pride parades will turn into this, which is a very different, it's still a pride parade. It's just a very different type of pride parade. It's what they're going to get. So now this has replaced the single cringiest Chuck Schumer video. Oh, wait, there's more. Chuck Schumer got booed mercilessly at this pride event in New York. Oh, this just goes to show you that however much you try and bend the knee and pledge fealty, however much ground you give, you could even like steal an election from Donald Trump and be the single most radical politician in American history. And it wasn't really Joe Biden, was it? It was all of his staff. I mean, they ran Joe Biden as a centrist, but it was subversive. That was the word I was looking for. Subversive. You could, I mean, because they ran him as this like blue dog centrist, then they put him to bed. And the Zorhan Mandami wing of the party ran the entire operation. And you got open borders. You got the most radical transgender policies. You had the single worst presidency of your lifetime or mine. And what good did it do Joe Biden? Is he seen as some type of FDR, progressive, stalwart hero? No, this is Joe Biden from this weekend. He's yelled and screamed off stage wherever he goes by his own base.
Well, I can't sugarcoat it. It's a battle that's never truly over.
They scream Genocide Joe at him. Listen to this.
Well, look.
Isn't Joe Biden supposed to have stage 4 pancreatic cancer? Like, isn't Joe Biden supposed to already be toast? Why is he out doing speeches? Why is he out humiliating himself? And he is. He can't go anywhere. Chuck Schumer can't go anywhere. Hillary Clinton can't go anywhere. They're getting eaten alive by their own party. James Carville, the guy who created like the longest standing Democrat dynasty, the Clinton dynasty today, is saying, no, we can't live with these people.
Mr. Valier, the New York Times reported, and I have the quote right here, I'll get to it. She is against passed off all her views. She has attacked interracial relationships in the American flag. Lady, I ain't in the same party as you. I'm sorry. I just not. And I actually do think it's time for Democrats to talk the S word, schism. I really do. Everybody's always said, no, we're coalition, we're big tent. And there's just some shit that I can't be in the same tent with. And we talk about what Madami was 3 for 3 last night.
He's saying it. And they're all going to start saying it. Carville calls for formal schism. Joe Biden barely manages to find his way off stage at Democrat Gala after being screamed off the stage. And then fast forward here to, I think, the single most alarming case of Democrats eating their own parasitically is the parasite Scott Wiener, who is the most radical elected official in office today. There is no more radical elected progressive than Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener is running against Nancy Pelosi. I mean, you can understand why they would want to protest Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden. Scott Wiener is, without question, one of them. You can look at Scott. This is Scott Wiener, some of the bills that Scott, I'm not even sure I can talk about them on the stream. I mean, these are bills to effectively decriminalize underage sex. Effectively, like making sure that those people who do that, like predator protecting laws that get these predators off the sex registry so they can live close to schools. It's the purpose of this guy's life, is to give the left everything, that every conceivable level of sickening degeneracy Scott Wiener not only embraces, but he goes and he advocates for and writes the bills for. Here's the state of refuge law was written by Scott Wiener that allowed for trans youth to change their names and genders and have therapy measures to do this without any parental permission in California. If you try and stop it in California, you'll get your kids taken away from you because of Scott Wiener. So this is how thick and radical of an individual this is. The degeneracy of this man, it's as bad as you can get. And here's what it sounded like when he tried to show up to a transgender march in San Francisco this weekend.
You've been terrible, and you've been terrible. You've been terrible. You've been terrible on Gaza. You do not belong here anymore, Scott, and it breaks my fucking heart. It breaks
Language.
my heart.
All right.
It breaks my heart.
It's maybe too much language in this. It just goes on like that for minutes on end. He gets physically run out of the march because he's not progressive enough, because he's not left-wing enough. This is the most left-wing politician elected serving in office today. So this is where the party's going. Scott Wiener can't, he tries to sit down to have a meal. He gets screamed at.
We against the genocide. You think you're gonna come to my neighborhood, bro? You fucked up. You fucked up. It's gonna be a problem. There's innocent children being killed in Palestine.
I mean, sorry for the language here, but like, this is how this guy's in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco. It's the most left-wing place on the planet. He's the most left-wing politician on the planet. He's not good enough for these people. They're eating themselves alive. And so this is an opportunity for us to get our act together, to acknowledge that if we just start serving the vast majority of the American people that want voter ID, that want sound governance, that want a closed border, that want to reduce debt, that want affordability, that want security, then we will win. It'll be an 80-20 country, just like the SAVE Act is an 80-20 issue. Scott Presler is joining our program, who's been advocating, of course, for the SAVE Act, but then also bringing some, what do Democrats call it? Good trouble to John Thune's South Dakota Republican Party convention, where John Thune ordered Scott Presler effectively banned and sent law enforcement after Scott Presler this weekend. Scott handled it like an absolute champ and a total consummate professional. It's our honor to welcome Scott back to the program right now. Scott, glad to see that you are not in shackles based on the sergeant at arms in South Dakota. I wasn't sure if you were going to be joining me live from a holding cell in the GOP state convention or not, but I'm glad that you got out alive there.
Hey, if they arrest me, I just hope that somebody films it. Thanks for having me back, Benny.
Please tell me what happened. For those who weren't following along, Scott had I think we have some of the media loaded up here. Scott had an unbelievable weekend. Maybe you can just take it from the top, Scott.
Thank you. So this past weekend was the South Dakota Republican Party convention, and I have had plans to attend the convention for weeks now. I didn't even know that this dinner was happening until the day that I arrived. And I didn't even know that Senate Majority Leader Thune was confirmed for the dinner either. And I think those are two very important points. So on Thursday, I attend the convention with no incident. I'm shaking hands. I'm meeting voters. I'm respectfully observing what's going on there because I'm not a voter or a delegate. And so I'm told that if you have a ticket for the dinner, you're allowed to go. A very kind follower of mine gave me his ticket. foregoing the opportunity to see our Senate Majority Leader and to see our Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen. And he said, Scott, I want to give this ticket to you. So I show up, Benny, as a ticketed holder. They were not asking for anyone's IDs. They didn't have a manifest of names. They weren't taking roll call. It was, if you have a ticket, you are allowed in. When I get there, Benny, I'm told immediately you cannot come in. And I'm showing them, ironically enough, my golden ticket to get in. And they say, no, you are not allowed. So I pull out my phone, and that video that has gone viral, I'm filming myself. I'm not pointing it at people. I'm not getting in anyone's space. I'm filming me. And when I say we're going to find out what happened and why I'm not allowed, the Sergeant at Arms, Matt Bruner, decides to invade my space, come into my frame, and that's where you can hear the expletives and where I am cursed at while remaining calm and a consummate professional. And ultimately, we found out that it was Senate Majority Leader Thune's staff and his call that I was not allowed at the event. And furthermore, Benny, which I think is very important, there is one video that you'll see from the outside looking into the dinner. There is a photo of me on one of the tables. So when the comms director for Senate Majority Leader Thune says that press was not allowed, there was only one person that was not allowed to this event. And I believe that it was calculated. I believe that it was premeditated. And clearly, they didn't want me in that dinner where I was going to be a meek, quiet observer because I am pushing for the country saving Save America Act.
The Republican Party chair explained on camera that John Thune sicked law enforcement, it was Secret Service, on you specifically to ban you from the dinner. That's on camera.
Yes. Yeah, Chairman Jim Eschenbaum, thanks to James Bialotta, recorded the conversation where the chairman, you heard him literally say, this was Senate Majority Leader Thune's Secret Service that said Scott Pressler can't come in. And so while he made the public apology, I don't think it was really him responsible. This was a call from Senate Majority Leader Thune's staff. Scott Pressler is not allowed. And Betty, one really important note, I've been to the White House, as you have. I've been through the halls of Capitol Hill. I have met with 100 members of Congress over the last 6 months with not one single incident, no Capitol Police, no reports, nothing. I hold myself to a very high standard and I hold myself accountable. And furthermore, why would I ever do an outburst which may prohibit or inhibit me from doing the very work that I'm doing? It just, none of it makes sense.
No, I've seen you actually in these scenarios personally where somebody is agitating against you or upset or somebody is trying to pull one over on you. The CNN interview comes to mind, but you're constantly faced with agitators who want to either stop you or harass you, and you never freak out. You're not like Code Pink, right? In these congressional hearings, I can understand that. Nobody wants somebody screaming in their face, holding up a sign, throwing paint on them. But you are, if anything, like you would have gone up to John Thune and had a polite conversation about the SAVE Act with him, correct?
Amen. And really, there's another video that I haven't shared, Benny, where one of the members responsible for the South Dakota convention says, well, what is your intent? What are your plans? And I have the film where I say my intent is to go in and to be a quiet observer. And I even offer, I'll surrender my phone. They were like, will you commit to us that you won't record? I said, yeah. I just want a seat at the table. And I want to make this clear. This isn't about me. This isn't the Scott Pressler show. The contempt that I was showed that night
Mm.
wasn't a reflection of me. It was a reflection of every single person watching this program right now.
Yes.
The contempt of our elected officials for how they feel about you, the voter that delivered a popular vote for our president and gave the very Republican Senate majority that they have today.
Yes. So why would John Thune? I just want to establish a couple of key points here. Again, like you weren't going in there to throw paint on John
No,
Thune.
no,
You weren't going in there to physically assault John Thune.
no.
And there's zero. And you've been on camera in thousands and thousands of engagements. Everybody knows who you are and knows how you operate. And so moving past that, then why would they ban you?
Clearly, I am one of the most outspoken individuals on behalf of the country saving Save America Act. And really, I don't know if you've already spoken about this, so pardon me, but the breaking news today of the 5-4 SCOTUS decision allowing for mail-in ballots that are postmarked by election day to be received 5 days after election day. We're watching, Benny, right now, the 2026 election, dare I say, being stolen in real time. And yet, with a Republican majority Senate, with the House, with the president, we're not securing our elections. And my question to any of our elected officials, and I mean this with the utmost of respect, why am I an outsider fighting harder to secure the very victories that we had in 2024 and the very majorities we have right now than the people that we elected into office? Why am I having to fight harder for election security than the majorities we have today?
Yes, again, you have the mandate from heaven, Scott, because with every passing day, it becomes more and more clear why we need the Save America Act, whether it's Marxists being elected in New York or the Spencer Pratt race in Los Angeles or this 5-4 ruling from the Supreme Court that does say effectively it's deference to state law. It says that, well, whatever the state law says, you can do.
Yes.
So there's just no limits. So Democrat states can just say, all right, well, we'll just count ballots for hundreds of days. Yes. We'll count ballots for hundreds of days, and the Supreme Court didn't stop them. And the only thing that could really cut that fraudulent system, the legs out from under it, is voter ID, federally mandated voter ID.
And let's make some breaking news right now, Benny. I want to be the first on your show to respectfully call upon the voters of Mississippi to ask for a special session from Governor Tate Reeves. If the SCOTUS is going to say, well, they're going to defer to state law, then right now, at this moment in time, let's change state law. And let's say, like we do in Pennsylvania, ballots must be in by election day, by the close of election day, no postmark, no after election day. They must be received by election day, with perhaps the exception of our beautiful military ballots. But I think Tate Reeves must call a special session and change the state law before the November 2026 elections.
That's the law right now in Mississippi?
Yes, that's what this Supreme Court decision was. And imagine, this is Mississippi, a red conservative state.
It's like you saw all the Ohio leaders, John Kasich and DeWine, out saying, no, we must keep Haitians built Ohio. Right? Like we saw that this weekend. Very weak. I don't know how these guys represent the same state that gave us JD Vance, but here we are. It does seem to be dying on the vine, but not fast enough. That style of that style of republicanism, which is really just controlled decline, right? It's like hospice care for our movement. It's like make sure that our movement dies, but dies very peacefully. And we as a base, of course, say no. But that's why John Thune banned you, right? Like that ultimately is why John Thune banned you. He hates the will of the American voter, which is to pass the Save America Act, correct?
Well, I do want to say one thing. I'm thankful for Senate Majority Leader Thune's staff from making the call to ban me because it exposed what's going on. A lot of people probably look at South Dakota, North Dakota, Idaho as these bastions of conservatism. But it's true that we have a lot of still rhino establishment authoritarians in charge.
Yes.
And I want to say, Senate Majority Leader Thune, had you just allowed me to the event, I would have been a meek, quiet observer, that this wouldn't be a nationwide story right now. And because you moved to ban me, because you moved to shut me up and shut me out, our movement, trended on social media for nearly 24 consecutive hours as one of the top trends in America. And furthermore, even going to Walmart right after the event the next day, I had no fewer than 10 people, Benny, that came up to me and say, I saw what happened to you and it was wrong and shameful. So Senate Majority Leader Thune, in 24 hours, you helped me reach more voters than I could have personally knocked in 24 months. Thank you kindly, sir.
How dumb are these people? Because if you know just even the smallest amount of PR and image curation, if John Thune had just been staffed correctly, let's say I was working for John Thune and we were in this scenario and I wanted to make it go away, I would have had him sit down with you.
Yes.
Why not just take a photo? It doesn't need to be recorded. Maybe like say, hey, can we turn all the phones off?
Off the record.
Yes.
Off the record.
And have a staffer just snap a photo of John Thune and Scott Presler talking politely together. He's on your level. He sits down next to you and you guys just chat about the Save America Act. He explains where he's at. You explain where you're at. And like that does more for John Thune's image than any press release, than any $100 million ad buy, right? Like that immediately fixes and it builds a bridge and it fixes something that's like this big wound for the base. But instead, I see him palling around. Like I saw him at the UFC 250, having a grand old time partying at the White House. Like I said, a meeting with Scott Presler. It really is an insult, truly, to the base, and it's so mismanaged and so dumb. And they did go on social media and lie about you. And I can't stand that. I can't stand that when they lie and attack the base. John Cornyn did this to us a few years back, where he like savagely attacked us. And so that's just loser mentality, man. What would you have told him if he had done that? Let's say he'd been smart enough to do that. What would you have told him?
Here's my message. And I've had senators, and I'm not going to say who, tell me that I am demoralizing the base and I am going against the president. Well, the president has our back. He even canceled the Housing Act signing and because of the Save America Act. So number one, the president supports this. And number two, I would say, dear Senate Majority Leader Thune, there is no greater demoralization to the base than for us to have all three branches of government and to have majorities and to not pass the very legislation after what we saw in the 2020 election to ensure that tragedies like that never happen again. And if you campaign on closing the border and securing our elections and stopping wars and deportations, and you do not deliver, then how can we expect to keep those majorities in the 2026 and beyond elections if you do not deliver? And really, that's what I would say to him. It is a worse demoralization for us to not deliver on behalf of the American people. And if I may say one last thing.
Please.
Look at the difference between how the Senate is acting right now and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. To anyone who says anything, look at what we did with McCarthy. We replaced McCarthy and we got an upgrade. Speaker Mike Johnson, for whatever people will say about him, he's about to pass the Save America Act for the fourth time with one of the most narrow majorities in American history in the House. And yet he's able to coalesce Scott Perry and Mike Lawler all in the same spectrum and get that broad, diverse House coalition together on bills. And if the House can do it, then I have no doubt that the Senate can do it. And it shows the difference in leadership styles And I hope that our Senate, with the few remaining months that we have, because they're about to go on vacation again, Benny. They have pretty much the month of August off. I hope that the Senate gets its act together on behalf of we, the American people.
What an insult to the base to come after you. What an insult to the intelligence of the American people. And everybody sees themselves as you, Scott, because you're representing the will of 90% of the party here, or more. I'm probably more like 100. And to ban you, to make sure that you are the one dissenting voice. I mean, I just don't know how you can come out and say you're for free speech. I don't know how you can come out and say you're for free assembly if you're doing something like this to Scott Presler. You can't. It's antithetical. It doesn't work. And people aren't stupid anymore. People don't believe the press releases. Like I saw everything they were saying about you, and these people, the John Thune staffers, were getting dragged and ratioed for their lies.
And community noted. That's the best part. They got community notes on their own post too because of the videos.
Really quickly, Scott, because we have Tina Peters coming up next, and I'm like really excited to talk with her. Both of you are just like patriot fighters for free elections. What is the way to get this passed in the remaining months that we have? Because nobody knows what's going to happen in 26.
Thank you.
What is the way to get this passed?
A couple different ways. Some people are advocating for it to be attached to Budget Reconciliation 3.0. That's perhaps one pass. There even talk about changing the language of it to allow for federal grants to the states to provide for IDs to especially our beautiful impoverished communities. So Budget Recon 3.0. Number 2 is the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. Number 3 is FISA, Section 702. All of those. And how about a fourth way? Attach it to every other piece of legislation, including banning stock trading. Attach the Save America Act to every piece of legislation coming out of the House and force the Senate to vote on it. And last thing, Mike Lee's amendment on Budget Recon 2.0, which was just proof of citizenship and photo voter ID, that did get 50 votes, including Susan Collins of Maine. Anyone who says that this doesn't have the votes is lying to you and is being disingenuous. The Mike Lee amendment on Budget Recon 2.0 did in fact get 50 votes.
We will keep pushing, Scott. We'll keep fighting, and we are thrilled that you're not in jail somewhere in South Dakota.
Thank you. Me too.
I'm not sure that Sergeant Arm had the ability to do that, but we're really thankful for you, Scott. The audience loves you. The chat loves you, and you're fighting for the people. Everybody fight alongside Scott by following him here. He's got millions of subscribers, 2.4 million subscribers, and his Operation Early Vote Action. Also, Scott is now an elected official, or you're on the ballot. No, you're an elected official.
I am elected 7,853 votes and the top vote getter in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Beaver County.
There you go. Scott, you're welcome back anytime. God bless you, man.
Thanks, Benny. Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a time that we have to just keep the ship pointed in the right direction, prove to the American people that we can deliver for them, and we'll defeat the communists. We're going to call a patriot here in just 1 second. Tina Peters on the program. We're absolutely thrilled to talk with her. If you want to call Patriot every single day, use Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile phones can power your freedom of speech in this beautiful national birthday week for our nation. Patriot Mobile has a special deal going on right now. You can call today. You can get a free month of service and other major discounts with the code Benny. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Benny. It is a wonderful time to make sure that we are supporting Christian, conservative, wireless providers and businesses that helped build America, that kept it alive for 250 years. We're pushing the limits. I mean, most empires do not last for this long. Most nation states crumble or collapse by this time. And so let us continue to pray for God's providence and support each other. Get on patriotmobile.com. today. We support Tina Peters. She joins our show live right now, fresh off of her commutation in Colorado. Welcome, Tina Peters, to the program.
Thank you,
Tina.
Benny.
Welcome to the show. Yes, it's an honor to have you. Scott and I are like, two ladies at a salon, and we just chit chatting. If it comes to John Thune, we could just talk all day, and so it's
There
my
you
honor
go.
to speak with you. We celebrated and prayed and thanked God when we heard that you would have your sentence commuted by the Democrat governor of Colorado, and we thought this was a incredible thing that happened. Maybe you could fill in the audience about what's happened in the last few weeks and the answers to prayer here.
Nothing makes you realize how precious liberty is until it's taken from you.
Yes.
And I had said, Benny, I said, they could kill me. I'm not afraid to die. But taking your liberty, and it should be a wake-up call to every single American, that how easily, if whoever is in power, how easy it is for them to take your liberty and to do what they did to me, and violating every constitutional right that I had, especially the right to free speech and to redress the government with my grievances. So I'm very grateful, but it's a wake-up call. I think it's a clarion call to everyone out there, Benny, that if you don't stand up now, if you don't fight and be heard, and now they've played their First Amendment card, they can't keep me from speaking, and so I am speaking out. And that was one of the things that Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, and I can go into all of that, and A.G. Weiser and Merrick Garland and all the people and Dominion, all the people that wanted to see me go to prison, to send a message to anyone that would ever question a fraudulent election. So it's been, the last few weeks has been, it's been a revelation as far as, first thing I did was I wanted steak. I wanted fresh vegetables. Things like that people take for granted. Cucumbers for almost 2 years I didn't have. And of course, seeing my dog Minka, that I've been away from. So
is that anyway, it right there?
Yeah.
You're gonna make a cameo. That's great.
Yes. She now goes everywhere with me, and I'm very grateful.
Big time dog lover show. We love dogs, so you can tell Mika to just pop. Mika's welcome to pop on in the shot. We'd love to hear from Mika as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot to say.
So you know what it's like to sacrifice for your country. You're a Gold Star mom. And you saw something wrong and broken in the election systems in Colorado. And in fact, the Secretary of State admitted this. They had the key codes to all of the electronic voting machines that were open source. We were able to look them up ourselves. This is, of course, like leaving the code out for the safe at the community bank. What you reported on was true. It was an insecure empirically and demonstrably. It was an insecure election in Colorado. But they seem to have gone out and punished you specifically to make an example out of you in a time that was really, really bad for us, and when there were still a lot of pressures out here, and you were like somebody that they wanted to show the rest of the country that they could truly punish and torture you if you dare go against them. That's the way that we see it on our show. Is that right, Tina?
That's exactly right. But what they did was it had the opposite effect, Benny. By them coming after me, and I always say they made a huge mistake when all this was revealed at the symposium in August of 2021. They should have just let it lie, dealt with it privately, but they made this huge splash. They drew the nation's attention to it. And then by constantly going after me and persecuting me, it educated more people and drew more attention to what was going on. And when you have someone like the Secretary of State, who's now running for the highest office in Colorado, the Attorney General, who allowed her office to come in under the direction of Dominion Voting Systems, delete 29,000 vital election records. We're talking access log files, who went in and out of the computer, audit log files. You can't even audit an election, and by federal mandate, federal regulations, you can't even with machines like that, you can't even have them in your office working. You can't even certify them. And adjudication log files, how the people's vote was adjudicated. So you have these black boxes that once a person puts their ballot in, you don't know what happens to your vote. And so that's why, and I differ. I love Scott Pressler, but I differ a little bit with him in the respect of, mail-in voting and early voting, because what ends up happening is, we know David Becker and his involvement with SEER, his involvement with voter registration databases called ERIC. Being the clerk, I saw these things. We were not allowed to go into the computer system, into the registration database when the election started until it was over and certified. And what happens in there is very important, because what they end up doing is they end up making low propensity, inactive voters active, vote for them. And then what they need to do is they need to stack the ballots to make up the numbers. So there's a lot of things that the people don't see and don't understand, why you want to have one-day voting, why you want to go to do this by precinct, why you want to, as when I was running for Secretary of State, Benny, I was going to completely wipe out the voter rolls, because you can't clean a dirt floor and have people go to their local, we're talking local involvement, have them go to their clerk's office, register at least every 2 years, show their ID with a wet signature and their ID, and register every 2 years. You go and do that yearly with your car, right? You go and do that with, and so there's things that need to happen on a local level, because, people are saying, well, the federal government should take over. Well, according to the laws of the land, you can't just have the federal government make a sweeping thing. The Save America Act is so sane, and as you were talking about, 80-90% of Americans want that, because they want their vote to count. They don't want it to be diluted. But when you have black boxes and you have early voting where they can keep, and then you have voting after the day where they can still count the ballots, that's where we run into problems. So as Secretary of State, I was going to wipe out the voter registration database, because then you're not dealing with ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center, who, if you do a little background on David Becker, he hates America. He hates conservatives. He's recently come out against me. It's funny how Benny, all these people that are afraid of what I'm going to say come out ahead of time and talk about me in a negative light. And that's what they've done. They've gaslighted the people to think that I breached election equipment, that I tampered with election equipment, and that I had an unauthorized person, both things which are blatantly false.
Would you mind, because it seems like you were scratching the surface there on your understanding of how elections get rigged and stolen from the inside. And so much that we've heard about you and your case has obviously been steeped in left-wing hatred for you and institutional hatred for you and what you represent. And you can see that in the judge's sentencing of you. It was just dripping in malice because of your Facebook posts and because of what you believe. It's awful. It wasn't blind justice. It was cruelty. It was Marxist cruelty towards you. Maybe taking a step back, could you explain it very simply, like you would to a Labrador? I don't know what breed your dog is, but
she's a Doberman. But
okay, yeah. So to a very nice Doberman.
And that wasn't her barking. That was the other dog. So she was being really good. I just want to make.
So could you explain it though in a way that perhaps somebody who doesn't have your sort of technical proficiency background would understand? How does the election get rigged and stolen in Colorado?
That's a great question. There are many ways that the election is stolen. I don't know if you've ever had Mark Cook on your show, but he has a copy of the EMS, the copy that I took, the image. So I did an image before Dominion and the Secretary of State came in. I did an image after, which was completely legal. He can go in there and he can demonstrate how easy it is to just change 2 integers, to go in and without any safeguards, how easy it is to breach our election system and to change the votes and to flip them. And that's what we've seen a lot of times. A very popular candidate will be ahead in the polls and all of a sudden, whoops, 51% by 49%. So I would encourage having him on your show. So that's one of the things is and if people will go in and read the Mesa County Reports 1, 2, and 3 on my website at tinapeters.us, that would be a great education. On there, there is an executive summary for each report. So I came back. I was hidden after what came out, after they found out what I had done, that I'd actually done something legal, but I had caught them with their shorts down. That's when they went after me. And the first report came out. So they came after me in August. First report came out in September. I took it to all the elected officials in my county, and they did nothing. You know who they had come in to debunk it? Dominion and the Secretary of State.
But what did you do? What you took were a before and after shot,
right,
of the voting results. Is this correct?
No. So the EMS doesn't have, the election management server doesn't have any PII, so personal identifying information. It's a snapshot of what the system looked like in that point in time. So before they came in, we took a snapshot. And that's what included all the files, the log files, the adjudication files, the access files. And those are essential files required to be kept. They had wiped them out, Benny. We verified this because of the second image, 29,000 vital election files. And that's a felony. Each one of those is punishable by law. That's what the Secretary of State and Dominion did. So when that happened, we had experts looking at it. There's a lot of information on there. We had experts looking at the image. They came out with the first report, and I had 24/7 security, armed security for that month before the image came out. Before the first report came out. Then in February, I announced I was going to run for Secretary of State because I said I have to run at the belly of this beast. I was going to run for clerk again, and I said I've got to run for right to the belly of this beast. We cannot, there has to be somebody that's going to stop this. And right after that was on February 14th on Steve Bannon's show. Right after that, I was indicted. We'd asked to go in and give our side of it. And the DA, of course, kept saying, well, they haven't even asked. Yes, we did. So it was rigged from the very beginning. And then there were 2 reports that came out in March of that year of 2022, Mesa County Report number 2 and number 3. It showed there were 36 wireless devices, Benny, in the machine. 36 wireless devices. Anybody with a cell phone could have gotten in. So when you hear about Jenna Griswold releasing passwords for every county in Colorado to their election system, that just shows you how vulnerable and how infiltrated. I don't know, the manipulation. So the vendors are lying to the elected officials, and the manipulation that's going on is hidden. We've got manipulation in the voter rolls, early voting, tabulation, election night reporting. All of it is not secure.
How do you secure it? What would you do as Secretary of State? Okay, so obviously if you have this computer that's counting the votes connected to the internet, even if there's one device connected, that's enough to tamper with, to algorithmically change, to destroy the entire machine. So it's not a secure election. Nobody can trust the results when you have any of these systems connected to the internet.
That's right. That's right.
So automatically, it's not like we have to prove voter fraud. You prove the voter fraud by connecting the machine to the internet. That's
Yes,
all
we
you need
don't-
to see. Your systems are insecure. So it's not
We
on
don't
us
need
to
it anymore.
it's not on us to show you the proof. You connected the machine to the internet. You created the systems that are impossible to verify. Therefore, we can't trust you, right? So
Yes,
what happens next?
we don't need to. There's so much proof out there. We don't need to prove that the elections were stolen. We need for them to come and say, here's the proof they weren't stolen. We need to, like I said, we need to have voter registration every 2 years in person, paper voter card. We need to have citizenship and residency check. We need to have a witness signature, so making the clerks that they can witness the signatures. We need to be stored by precinct. So, a precinct is usually about 2,000 voters, 2,000 people. It's very easy to do. We need the poll books, the mail-in voting. You only need mail-in voting, or you only need absentee voting for people that are verified, that have a need for that. And it's just rampant. Election day, one day. The Constitution says there will be one day for voting. It needs to go back to one day you go vote. And on election night, they're counted where they're cast under video. They're scanned to a PDF, the ballot images, the tally sheets, paperwork. The voting type is, the results have to be signed by the judges. So here you have local oversight, local control. So then you don't get into people that want to say, well, the federal government shouldn't be in our elections. But the federal government can be in our elections, because if it's a federal election, you need to save these files that were destroyed for 22 months. And in Colorado, it's 25 months. So there needs to be more oversight. It needs to come down to a local level.
So are you in favor of the Save America Act or not?
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that only voters that are eligible to vote should vote, because as we all know that if someone else that's not eligible, it dilutes the vote.
Will you run for office again?
Well, that's up to I've followed God so far, and he hasn't let me down. So we'll see what's coming. I have been chomping at the bit when I was in prison, because I saw what was happening in New York City with Mandami. I saw what was happening in Virginia with Spanberger, of course, recently in California. We have to get serious about this. We need people out on the streets peaceably in their local communities, being seen. I'll tell you something that I've lived my life since my life was turned upside down on. General Flynn told me in 2021, I went to him and I said, you've been through this. You've been through the harassment by powerful people. What is your recommendation? He said, Tina, you be as vocal and visible as possible. He said, the safest you will be is to be as vocal and visible as possible. And so I've lived my life by always telling the truth, and being out there, not afraid to tell the truth or the consequences of telling the truth. And as you can see, I'm free. It took the opposite effect of what they intended. What the enemy meant for evil has actually turned around for good, because more and more people now know the truth. So as far as running for office, we'll see. I mean, I don't discount anything as long as it's where I'm supposed to be, serving the American people.
It would be a very Nelson Mandela style story, right? Where you're imprisoned by the powers that be, and then out of prison, you become a political force to be reckoned with. And everybody says, well, you tried to shut them up. Why exactly? And here you are standing here today. So many people in our audience prayed for you and were asking for God's favor and
I felt it.
For liberation here and for righteousness to have. And then Governor Polis, who I don't know what to think about this guy, because like one headline I read is like the worst, most radical thing. And then the other headline I read is like, wow, that's a real centrist move. That's crazy. You don't normally see Democrats do that. So I don't know what to think about this guy. But when he came out in Community Senate, I was like, this is amazing, actually. So maybe you could give a message to all the people who are praying for you. Like maybe you could explain like what actually happened here with you being out. You were let out of prison. What was it? Half of your sentence or less?
He reduced my sentence to 4.5 years.
Yep.
But it's interesting, he talked about another Democrat senator who had the same charges as me in Colorado, who got probation. I should have never gone to prison. Without talking so much about my case, because it is in the Colorado Supreme Court, I'm hoping they have enough intelligence and to overturn my convictions. But if not, then it'll probably go to SCOTUS because and then they will be probably struck down like they were in the 9-0 decision on keeping Trump off the ballot in Colorado. I
remember
it's
that.
Interesting because you asked about Jared Polis, and I don't think he could have done anything different. Now he could have pardoned me, which he did pardon 35. Many of them were very violent criminals, felons that had murder and everything else. He commuted the sentences for 9 people, and I was one of the 9. But you didn't hear about all the people that had violent crimes that he pardoned, right? The 35. You heard about one person, and that was me, because I am a threat, because I bring the truth to the people.
Your message for all those who prayed for you while you were incarcerated.
That is what kept me going, Benny. That is what kept me going. I would read those letters, and I would hear about people that posted. I had to call my best friend Marcy every day. She insisted that I call her morning and night to let her know if I was in the hole, where I was. If they didn't hear from me, then they knew something was terribly wrong. And she would tell me about the people that had posted, the people that had were talking about the case on their shows. The letters. I want to tell you specifically about right before I got out. My son, as you know, was a Navy SEAL, and sometimes you feel someone talking to you, right? Well, I got a letter, and the letter was really sweet. How they were praying for me, and they put a scripture in there, Joshua 1:9, and I thought, oh, that's really nice. That means a lot to me. That means a lot to me because when my son spent the 2 years going through the process to become a Navy SEAL, when he graduated, my husband took his Rolex off and he took it to the jeweler and he put Joshua 1:9 on inscribed it on the back of it, and it says, "Be strong, be courageous, do not be afraid. I will be with you wherever you go." So then I looked at the next letter, very next in line, the next letter, and I was reading it, and it had Joshua 1:9, and I went, "Wow, that's really a coincidence, right?" And then I read that, and it warmed my heart that people are praying and supporting me financially, and just getting the word out about the truth. And then I pull up the third letter, and it says Joshua 1:9. I want this scripture for you, Joshua 1:9. And I just went, thanks, Remington. So, the people, I could tell you supernatural stories of God's provision while I was in there. I mean, I was in with very, very, violent people. They don't have a minimum security prison, excuse me, in Colorado. And I would call my friend Marcy, and I'd say, Marcy, have the people pray. And because I could feel the oppression, I could feel the evil, and right after that, I could feel it break. So it is a spiritual battle. I'm immensely grateful to the people that stood by me. This has been a long time, I mean, this has been since 2017, 2018, when I decided to run for office and all the things that happened to me. So thank you. Thank you, everyone out there that supported me and continue to support me, because I will continue to fight for you.
Why don't we do our verse of the day right now? We have Joshua 1:9 loaded right here. We do a verse of the day every single show, Tina. So I hope you won't mind. In conclusion, we'll just
Not at all.
do it live here. I command you, be strong and steadfast. Do not fear. Do not be dismayed. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. A perfect example of this in our time is Tina Peters, live on the show right now, liberated as Christ wishes for us to live in liberty, and joining us on this America's Birthday Week. And so, Tina, we just want to say thank you. Please follow Tina here, pour in to her and fight alongside of her. Very few have given more for their country than Tina, and she continues to fight. And we're thrilled to hear that she's thinking about running for office, or maybe just getting started, as we say, right, Tina?
Thank you, Benny. Thank you so much to your supporters, and I'm very grateful to God for you. Thank you for getting the word out.
Godspeed, Tina.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I guess we'll close it with that. You can't end on a better note than the great Tina Peters, Scott Pressler, giving us something to fight for and to continue to look toward the future. What does the future look like for us? Well, we know what the future looks like. Victory. March with us on to victory. It is assured. Lock in, Christian soldiers. Let's fight for this great empire that we inherited, and let's make that fight worthy. Advancing the kingdom. It is an honor to fight alongside of you. It's your boy Benny. See you tomorrow.
Truth gon' be faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.